What are you doing? Is my question.
As far as...
Why are you texting Kathy with questions that I can answer for you?
Because we didn't talk about torture before.
Why don't you ask me first? Because when you leave here, and you leave early for an event or something, do you want to talk about work? Probably not. There's a reason she left early to deal, and I'm here. I can answer those questions.
Okay.
And if you have a problem with the way I am
it's not the
answering you,
I wish you wouldn't take offense.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. If you disagree with anything I say, that's perfectly fine. Take it up with her tomorrow, or when she comes back on Monday. But I think it's inappropriate for you to go over my head right now and do that. Because these are obvious questions I can work with you on.
Okay.
As I said before, I believe that story can be told without those kind of details.
Okay. But, like I said, we didn't discuss torture when I first go
We don't need to say torture in the text.
Well, okay, but that I need to get a clarification from Kathy because
Why?
She is the one that says she doesn't want anything too harsh for American Idol. But
and you know what? That's perfectly fine. And I completely... let me finish. And I completely agree with her. But what you just did was wrong.
Okay, well, I apologize for that.
And let me tell you...
I wasn't going over your head, though.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Those questions... I haven't even seen your copy yet. All right?
Well, I need to get clarification.
Well, you can ask me.
Hmm.
And if you have a problem with the answers that I give you...
I don't have a problem with you. It's just... I need to make sure that we're doing exactly what Kathy wants as far as that. I need to make sure...
And that's for me to decide, not you.
Okay, well...
I would be responsible for that. If something happened...
Okay.
And we didn't do it right, that falls on my shoulders.
Okay.
Alright, like I said before, I believe that story, we can write it in a promo-friendly language without saying the word torture, waterboarding. Those kind of terms are not necessary for that tease within this audience. But it's a story that needs to be teased because it's an interesting story. The fact that these women got kidnapped, and it's right down here, it's in our neighborhood, it's Burnett.
Yeah.
That's the selling point that you can use without using the words torture and waterboarding.
How about abuse?
Well, like I said, it depends how you're wording this. You need to write the copy first before you do anything. I mean...
Here's a copy. Lorena.
Yes.
Here's a copy.
What?
Here's the copy right now. So I removed the waterboarding aspect of it.
Where the first one?
Yeah.
The soundbite is that girl was my student. Why didn't I question more? A twisted year-long abduction in Burnett. Long abuse. I think if you say that they were kidnapped for a year, it softens the blow, and when somebody is kidnapped for a year, you can let your brain wander and understand that it's abuse. I don't think you have to say it.
Okay. So kidnapped for a year where? So just...
Where were they kidnapped?
Huh?
Where were they kidnapped to?
Well, it's considered kidnapping. The legal language is aggravated kidnapping.
No. Where were they held hostage?
Well, that's the thing, is that they were under foster care under their aunt. And so I don't know if you were really considering that being held hostage, but they're held against their will. The legal language of what they had charged them was aggravated kidnapping.
Why don't you ask News if they consider that a hostage situation or kidnapping, what's the correct language? Whenever you have a doubt with something like that, that's what News can confirm or tell you no for. So why don't you ask them what the proper term, or look at story, her copy. See what kind of language she used in there. How did she refer to these girls?
Okay. Held against her will and abused for at least a year. Her sister died in the same home. Let's see. Okay. That's all she has.
Okay. What I suggest then, hostage is definitely a stronger language than kidnapping. I think you can listen. I think you start out with the word kidnapping, and when you present this copy to news, ask if you can use the word hostage.
Hostage is not an accurate term. Hostage means you're being held for ransom. You're held for demand. They weren't being held for demand.
Okay, then use the word kidnapping.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine, Philip. Okay. My point is that you can get your point across in a much simpler way that's not so harsh.
Okay, how's that?
Great. I think you can delete involved in abuse of two young. Maybe you put two women kidnapped for nearly a year in Burnett. Now, what are we learning from her story about these women?
Well, like I said,
There's an aunt that's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, is there evidence that leads to the aunt?
Well, she was arrested.
Okay. Do they say why? What is it that they found that made her the one that they were arresting?
The suspected of spearheading the assaults, directing the other suspects to severely beat the victim for disobeying her. That's her name.
What's her name?
This is her last name.
Okay, well maybe you just say two women kidnapped for nearly a year, and their aunt, with a little pause, the prime suspect.
Okay.
No, leave Burnett and their aunt, the prime suspect.
Okay.
And then you put your soundbite after. And that's really all you need to say, because the human imagination will be a little bit more of like, this happened down the street.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other pieces to the story that are unique?
No, just the torture.
Okay, well, we'll let news tell that in their story.
Okay.